I'm going to go to the quote that we had for meditation. I turn toward the thing I fear, knowing it holds the key to my freedom. As infinite creativity, resilience, and love, I trust and know I am fully supported every step of the way. And so this is something that came to me. I was jotting down ideas for this talk today. And what came through was the last few days as I've been driving wherever, today it was on the way back from the gym, or doing some stuff outside, I've been listening to Kate Northrup's book, Money, a Love Story. And I think I've mentioned that Glenn and I are in a year-long program with Kate Northrup and about, 500 other people called Relaxed Money. And the thing that is really fascinating for me about what we're learning is the relationship or the correlation between our relationship with money and how dysregulated our nervous system is. Now, this book that I was listening to today and have been listening to for the last few days was written in, I think it was 2008 or something like that. And so it's interesting listening to the stuff that she's talking about and seeing that most of it is still how she's teaching stuff, but there are a few changes that have happened. One of them being that back then, she was talking about how thoughts and beliefs were the foundation for our life experience, that thoughts and beliefs were the thing that informed how we lived our life. Well, there are several sources now, including David Hawkins, who I bring up quite often, who says that no, it's actually feelings or emotions that are at the very basis, and that feelings are the springboard for thousands of thoughts. And so if we want to change our life experience, we got to get with the feeling and then decide on whether or not it's the feeling that we want to experience. And if we don't, then we got to sort of open up to what's behind the feeling and then let it go. And once we let that feeling go, it no longer emotes, and all the thoughts associated with it, just back into nothingness, back into possibility. So anyway, as I'm listening to Kate Northrup's Money, a Love Story, there was a particular chapter today that had so many insights in there, and I kept thinking, how do I get these pinned or bulleted or whatever as I'm driving, because there's nothing that I can do. I just have to kind of remember. And so afterwards, when I got home, I went to the 8 main points that were in this chapter as she was telling her story of how she shifted from someone who taught people about money, looked like she knew what she was doing with money, but behind the scenes was in massive credit card debt, didn't know what was going on, didn't look at her statements, had a really unconscious relationship with money, and how it took her several years to shift that so that now she's like super solid, and this is still what she teaches people all over the world. So the first thing that she was talking about was being unconscious and incompetent around money. And so that's just essentially being not only not good with it, but completely unaware, like not wanting to look at it. Sort of like when Keely was talking about the feelings of like, let's just shove them down and not deal with them, right? Like you kind of know that there's something there, but I don't want to deal with it. And out of sight, out of mind, right? Well, no, because it's still there, right? It still requires attention. Just because we're not looking at it or paying attention to it doesn't mean that it doesn't still need some loving, tender loving care. She also talked about this idea of a desire for a Prince Charming, for someone to basically come in and like save her from the situation she was in so she wouldn't have to deal with it. And I got to tell you, even though I am like so strong and independent and I have been taking care of myself for many, many years, there is still this sort of thing that comes up every now and then about like, couldn't someone just come and like fix this for me? Or couldn't someone else just come and help me out with this? When ultimately, where's the help? Where's the wisdom? Where's the insight? Within me, right? Avoidance of responsibility. So this was about not looking at the statements, about not paying attention to how she spent the money. And to me, this totally correlates with how it is that we choose to live our life. Is it intentionally or not? Is it with awareness or not? Is it consciously or unconsciously? Are we being responsible with how we're directing the energy that we are? Now, she also talked about her addiction to spending. And when I heard this part, this was really interesting to me, because even though I've read this book a couple of times, fairly recently, but mostly like 15 years ago or whenever it came out, then I finally heard what she was talking about here, and I thought, wow, like I can really relate to some of this. Sometimes people are addicted to smoking. They're addicted to drugs. They're addicted to alcohol. They're addicted to food. They're addicted to watching television, addicted to sex, addicted to so many other things, right? All of them being a distraction from dealing with whatever it is that is being ignored and being shoved out of sight here, right? And so when she talked to her about her addiction to spending, I thought, wow, that's really interesting, because she didn't smoke, she didn't drink, she didn't do any of that other stuff, but she bought stuff constantly without paying attention to it and then wondered, how did I get in the position that I'm in? Well, they were all choices that she made, right? But she was unconscious when she was making them. She wasn't aware. Now, what really, really came to mind for me, or what really sort of was the clincher for me, was the fifth thing that came up about facing her fears. And the thing that kept coming up for me as she was talking about this was this idea of facing your fear and doing whatever anyway. Like you've heard the saying, like, face your fear and do it anyway. So this is what kept coming up for me as she was talking about facing fears. And at the beginning, there was a question that she asked and said, what's the thing that you're most afraid of doing right now? Don't think about why or what would happen or whatever, but just like, what's the thing that you're most afraid of doing? So you have an opportunity to come up with, I'm most afraid of blah, right? Fill in the blank, whatever it is. And then she said, now I want you to reframe that. I want you to take whatever it is that you're afraid of doing. I'm afraid of writing my second book, okay? I'm just going to put that, well, it would be the third for me. But anyway, I'm afraid of writing my second book, okay? Because my first one was so good, but I'm afraid of writing my second book. But she said, don't get into the because, okay? It's just, what are you afraid of doing? And then reframe it to being excited about it. I'm excited about writing my second book, and now bring in the because. And this totally speaks to what we focus on expands. What we think about, we bring about. And so instead of focusing on why I'm so afraid of doing this and giving more energy and emotion to that, she's like, just get clear on what it is you're afraid of doing and then reframe it, get excited about the possibility, because if you do that, then, and that creates this entire shift of opening up to the infinite possibilities of how we can experience life that we haven't so far, because we've been stuck in this and unconsciously, or maybe consciously sometimes thinking about, I'm afraid to do this because. And so I really, really like that. And so it really, really was this idea of, face the fear and do it anyway, which happens to be the title of my talk. Now, she also went on to talk about personal responsibility, which is the third major principle or tenet that we talk about in New Thought. There's one thing going on, everyone and everything is that. We are the ones who create our reality according to how we use our mind and how we open our heart. It's not just enough to say, change your thinking, change your life anymore, right? Like sometimes, okay, but a lot of times we can be thinking something consciously again and again and again and again. Why isn't that happening? Well, because there's something going on in the subconscious or in the sea of subjectivity that is not in alignment with that conscious thought. And this, in the sea of subjectivity, which is mired in feeling, is going to win out every single time. It's going to dictate the life experience. Or there will be mixed messages, and sometimes you might experience some of this, and some of this, and some of this, and some of this. But until you use your conscious mind to get at the feelings and what's behind them, to shift those thoughts and beliefs and entertain some new thoughts and beliefs, then things aren't really going to change. So personal responsibility in creating your life intentionally. And then she talked about making new choices. All the choices that she made led her to where she was. All the choices that we have made up until now, all of our best thinking has gotten to where we are in this moment. If we want to experience more of the same, we can keep thinking and feeling the same stuff that we're used to, that we've been thinking and feeling up until now. But if we want to experience something different, we got to choose differently. We got to think differently. We got to feel differently. We got to act differently. And all of that is tied in together. And then she went on to talk about the power of small steps, which really spoke to me because Glenn and I just finished this quantum habits class based on James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, where he talks about the first step is the most important step. And he tells this story of how, and it's the same thing for me, of how when he comes home from work, there's a moment where either he puts on his gym clothes and then he and his wife go to the gym to work out, or he changes into his schleppy clothes and then go and sit on the couch after making some popcorn and pizza and enjoy some movies. He says both of which are great, but the decision that gets them to the gym is him putting on his workout clothes. One tiny little conscious step that is so important to getting them fit and healthy, which is what they really want to do, right? So it's not about, oh my God, I have to go get a gym membership and work out 3 times a week for, 2 hours every day, whatever sort of thing. No, I put on my gym clothes. One conscious choice will lead to getting in the car, to going to the gym, to doing the workout, and then you do it again on the next day. Now, this is where we go to the song that we didn't hear. So there's this Tina Turner song, right? What's love got to do with it? Everyone here familiar with that song? Okay, so that song, the reason that song spoke to me and the reason that I thought that it would be interesting to hear that song, but imagine it in your mind, is because she asked the question, what's love got to do with it? And basically has these incredible defiant lyrics about how you can have an amazing, passionate, physical relationship with someone where love is not involved, right? But the question, what's love got to do with it? In our community, in the new thought frame of mind, of being, love has everything to do with it, right? It's not just a secondhand emotion because it is who and what we are. And so if we take a look at this list that Kate Northrup has, those 8 things that I just talked about, if we show up as the love that we truly are, as the divine energetic flow, the infinite potentiality that we are, the universal intelligence that we are, if we approach life as that, then every single one of those things she talked about, the unconscious becomes conscious. Instead of waiting for someone else to come and rescue us, we realize everything that we could possibly require already exists within us. We simply need to surrender to it. It also means that we become more and more responsible for our choices. We start to live life more intentionally, more purposefully by design. We don't just go with the flow, just sort of thinking that sometimes things will work out and sometimes they won't. We get really, really intentional with our choices so that we can live the life that we want to live the way we want to live it. And then we also recognize that all the choices, all the decisions, all the action steps that we've made and taken up until now, even if they haven't been that life-affirming or in alignment with our inherent truth, every single one of them offers a gift and an opportunity if we open ourselves up to receiving it and noticing it. Every single one of them is a blessing. In disguise a lot of times, and sometimes it takes a lot of hindsight and time, before we realize, oh, there's the gift. But every single one of them is a gift if you allow it to be. Love, showing up as the love we are, also empowers us to face the fear and do whatever feels super hard anyway. Because sometimes it's about reframing whatever it is that we're afraid of. So instead of, I'm really afraid of doing this, I'm super excited of doing this because then this. When we show up as love, then we also stop blaming others. We stop shaming others. We stop pointing the finger at circumstances and institutions around us saying that they're to blame, they're the cause for the way that I'm feeling. We realize that no, even though there are circumstances that are always beyond our control, we still get to choose how we show up, and we can always show up as love, as compassion, as peace. And then showing up as love also inspires us to make new, more life-affirming choices that are in alignment with the truth of our being, that allow us to live more fully, more joyfully, more connected with each other, with that incredible, amazing, divine current that is forever in flow, allowing us to express more fully, to embody more fully, and then to amplify the love that we are out into the world. And then finally, showing up as the love that we truly are, anchoring ourselves in that infinite creativity and resilience that we truly are, allows us to take the first step it activates, motivates, inspires us to take that first tiny step that ends up being the step that makes the difference and changes the trajectory that then literally transforms how we're experiencing life. So in the end, what I want to leave you with is, what's love got to do with it? Again, imagine the song. Everything. When we remember that we are pure, essential love, that this is who and what we are, we stop waiting for someone to rescue us or blame others for our choices and start choosing more consciously and showing up fully in every aspect of life. When we know with certainty that love is our true nature, we face our fears and do the most challenging things anyway with openness, commitment, authenticity, and love, one breath, one choice, one small, courageous step at a time. Thank you, and so it is.